right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Rakapadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Shema Shai. And what I want to get into today, is dealing with, some things I was reading, in the book of Joshua. Lord will, I can do, a few lessons, dealing, with the book of Joshua, which when you go into the, the overview of, that time period of Joshua, we're coming out of the wilderness and pretty much Yahweh Shema Shai had killed off, all the murmurers and the non-believers, of our people, and he brought, the generation of Joshua and Caleb, into the promised land. And that generation, all right, has a legacy of being very obedient, and I believe in the spirit that a lot of those Israelites, men and women, from that era, of Joshua, are back today, in their lots, for salvation again, to be brought back, okay, into, all right, that the homeland of Israel again, okay, through another Joshua, okay, Yahweh Shai, because you go into the Hebrew, Joshua translate to, Yahweh Shai, okay, and then you see, so, the book of Joshua, it's a heavy book. There's a lot of points in there. I said, Lord, will I can do, multiple lessons, on the book, in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, but I believe that represents, in the spirit, it represents the generation of the elect, and it was through obedience, okay? And just as the title of the lesson says, our obedience, okay, equals dominance over the heathens, okay? And we're going to get some accounts, but let's start off in the book of Joshua. Now, this is the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses, all right, minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people into the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all of the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea, toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. Therefore shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life, and I will, it said, as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So going back, it was signed off on. We had did the lesson earlier this week how, things are signed off in the spiritual realm by Yahweh, by Shema Shai, the great king over all the earth. So it was signed off on for Joshua, okay, and the children, the armies of Israel, okay, to what? Dominate those heathen nations and possess the land of Israel. The Most High said, wherever you put your feet at, okay, that's yours. And ain't nobody gonna be able to stand in front of you, man. Okay? That's a heavy decree, from on high. For the Most High to tell Joshua, look, ain't nobody gonna be able to stand in front of you. Okay? And see, we coming back into that same time now. All right? Because you see, spiritually, no one can stand in front, of this word, man. Okay? No one can stand in front of this word and go toe to toe. All right? It's going to be the spirit is going to dominate any doctrine in the earth. Okay? Just as Joshua did, in the physical. All right? Now, Verse 6 it says, and this is the point when you go into it. Why was Joshua, able to be dominant? Why was Joshua in the military of Israel was able to be dominant? Okay, we're gonna read it. It says, be strong and of good courage. All right, for unto the people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Now this is the conditions. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whither thou goest, whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then shalt thou have good success. It says, have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy power is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Okay, so the conditions, okay, that the Lord set up was what? For our people to be obedient, that generation of Joshua to be obedient. Okay, and they was obedient. There was a very obedient generation under Joshua. They started back because they had fell off from doing circumcision in the wilderness, but they started back, when you go to Joshua, the 5th chapter, but that generation of Joshua during that time, all right, had a legacy of being obedient. Even when you go into Jericho, when the Most High told him not to, he told him to take the silver and gold, but not to spoil the grains, and right, and the harvest. Okay, and with archaeologists, when they started, pretty much digging around that city of Jericho, they found those veils, still full of that ancient harvest. It was burnt, but there was a token of the obedience of that generation, man. And we're coming back into that as we rehearse the righteous acts. That's us, okay, rehearsing what? Obedience unto Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay? And the purpose of Yahweh Shai is where we fall short, of the law on this side, that blood covers us, man. So through Yahweh Shai, the elect is looked at as perfect, man. Through Yahweh Shai. You see? So Joshua was told that no one was going to be able to stand in front of him. Why? Because of obedience, man. Okay? And that's why you even got that in, let's get this in Samuel. Okay? This is 1 Samuel 15:22. And Samuel said, have the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifice as in obeying the voice of the Lord Yahweh. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams, man. Because obedience, right? Obedience, that's pretty much the connection between Israel and us tapping into our power, man. Through our obedience, man. Okay? And through Yahweh Shai, that access has been revamped in the spirit. Okay? So now, through our obedience, through Yahweh Shai, it's activating our connection back to our power, man. And that's why we see these moves being made in the earth like they're being made, man. And it's all through faith. And we do these things through faith, man. Believing that he is. Okay? Because if we didn't believe he is, what would be the point? Like, why would we be obedient if we didn't believe that our power, all right, is able to get us out this situation, to destroy the wicked, to exalt, all right, the elect of Israel, to establish Yahweh Shai on the throne of David? If we didn't believe he is, why would we even be obedient, man? We're obedience through faith, man. Let's go from there. Let's get that in Isaiah. Because as the hopeful elect become more obedient, we all grow in obedience. All right, we're becoming unstoppable, man. That's what pretty much Yahweh Shema Shai told Joshua, like, look, you're gonna be unstoppable, pretty much, man, and no one can stand before you, you know. When you go to Isaiah, which you get this out a lot, but how much more, in these times that we coming into, when Esau's getting ready to roll, like it's gonna get to a level where they're gonna want to put hands on the believers, man. Okay. Now this is Isaiah 54:17. It says, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord." Hey, he said this is the heritage, okay? Because this was proven, all right, through our forefathers. When our forefathers were obedient, okay, there was nothing that could be done against them, okay? There was nothing these nations could do. These heathens, okay? There was nothing they could do. All right? They was powerless against us as long as we was obedient, man. Okay? And that's been shown throughout, the generations, okay, the different ages through our forefathers that obeyed, man. Okay? It said, "This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me," said the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? Now, get some accounts. Get the pop. Get a couple of accounts. Read through. Okay, what obedience. Made us to triumph, man. You know. Now this is the book of Judah, chapter 5, verse 1. And I read it to the point. It says, "Then was it declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, that the children of Israel had prepared for war and had shut up passages to hill country and had fortified the tops of the hills and had laid impediments in the campaign countries, wherewith he was very angry and called all the princes of Moab and the captains of Ammon and all the governor of the sea coast." Yeah, because you had all these other heathens nations pretty much submitting, to the Assyrians. Okay? But you had, in Israel, that's why it's called the book of Judah, because Judah, was a widowed woman, and her husband had to be strong in the faith, because you could tell how she was moving. Okay? But you had a leadership, Jake being soft as hell. Okay? It's probably one of them the niggas that was killed off in the wilderness, man. But she had pretty much like a spark under Jake ass to remind them, okay, that we serve a mighty power, man. Okay? And she had to remind them, look, as long as we be obedient, we good, man. Okay? Just to sum up the dialogue that led to this point for Israel to prepare itself, to withstand, okay, the Syrian invasion, man. Okay? Now, verse 3 says, "And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of Canaan," all right, "who this people is that dwell in the hill country, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and wherein is their power and strength, and what king is set over them, or captain of their army." So he wants to get the drop. He's like, what is making these people be so courageous? Okay, what type of army they are? Who's their captain of their military? Who's their king? What's the source of their strength? What is it? Why are these people so courageous? Okay, but we just read in Joshua, the Most High told Joshua to do what? To be strong and courageous. Okay, and it says, verse 4, it says, "And why have they determined not to come and meet me more than all the inhabitants of the west? Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, Let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, which dwelleth near thee." It says, "And inhabited the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. These, it said, this people are descendant of the Chaldeans. Now, we know that it's speaking of, Abraham, which Abraham's father Terah, they was in of the Chaldees, you know. But Abraham, when you go into it, Abraham, Terah, all of them came from that line of Shem, which there will be the line, all right, that the Yahweh Shema Shah will continue the legacy of the Son of God, and began with Abraham, on departing from his fathers, which that's mentioned in Joshua as well. Okay, and we'll get that real quick. Joshua, read a little bit more of this, but I just have this ready to go. Joshua 24th chapter. Okay, and it says, and they sojourned. All right, so pretty much you have this Ammonite. He giving them the history. How we pretty much came into being a nation. And he began with Abraham, showing you that this was common knowledge, okay, even amongst the heathen. It says, because they would not follow, I'll start at the beginning. Verse 7 says, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the power of heaven and the Most High whom they knew, so that they cast them out from the face of their gods and fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Now, when you go to Joshua, he's going to speak of this account as well, man. Because all this was common knowledge, okay, in the earth, man. You see? Now, when you go to Joshua 24:1, it says, and Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to succumb, and called the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before the Most High. And Joshua said unto all the people, thus said the Lord power of Israel, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in the old time, even Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nachor, and they served other gods. And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood, and led him throughout all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his seed, and gave him Isaac. So the beginning, the legacy of the sons of God was revamped through Abraham, when he was detached from his father's households and from idolatry, man. Okay, and that represents all of us, man. We was detached, from the customs, of our relatives, Christianity and all these different things, whatever they was into. And what we begin to be reattached to what? That legacy of the sons of God. All right, through obedience and faith. Okay? Just as Abraham was. You see? And that was the beginning. All right? So now what you see, you're seeing a nation, because the elect is like a nation within themselves. Now you have, a remnant, okay, of our people that's what? Being obedient. That's setting us up for a victory, man. Lord will. We endure so like. All right, so going back into Judah chapter 5. All right, and it said verse 8. It said, for they left the way of their ancestors and worshiped the power of heaven. All right, that power whom they knew, so they cast them out from the face of their gods, and fled into Mesopotamia, and sojourned there many days. Then there the Most High commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned, and go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt, and were increased with gold and silver, and with very much cattle. But when famine covered all the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt, and sojourned there, while they were nourished, and became there a great multitude, so that one could not number their nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them, and dealt subtlety with them, and brought them low with laboring in bricks, and made them slaves. Then they cried unto their power, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues, so the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. And the Most High dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai and cast Barnea, cast Kadesh born, and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness, so that they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by the strength of all them of Hezebon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country, and they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Shechemites, and all the Girgasites, and they dwelt in their country many days. And that goes into the campaigns of Joshua. You know, when you hear about all the different Hamitic tribes, you know, Joshua was running through them. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, Joshua and the military of Israel with the aid of Yahweh Shema Shah. You know, it says, and whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered because the Most High, their hate of iniquity, was with them. So you see the coming theme. While we sin not against our power, okay, and did that mean that they was perfect? No, they had a mindset towards righteousness. When they went off, you know, they were off for a sacrifice, but their intent was to do right. Okay, it was a mindset that Yahweh Shema Shah favored. Okay, they didn't get the law perfect, but they followed it wholeheartedly. And when they fell up short, they would offer a sacrifice, man. You know, and that's why Yahweh Shah is that perpetual sacrifice for us now, man. Where we fall short, but our intent, our mindset is to do right, man. You know, according to this standard. You see? But with that, what happened? They had favor. That generation of Joshua had favor, and that's what he was just speaking on. It says, but when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their enemies. But now are they returned to their power, and came up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, all right, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Yeah, you had, you know, the Assyrians took the northern kingdom captives, and the Babylonians had took the southern kingdom captive. Okay, but you had to return, you know, to build the temple during the time of Nehemiah, Ezra, you know, Zerubbabel. Okay, and Joshua the priest. You know, we came and rebuilt. Okay, and you had a remnant of our people that was what rededicated to our power, man. All right. It says, but now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem where their sanctuary is, and are settled in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. So our ruin doesn't come from because other nations are stronger than us. They have more, you know, people than us, or more military than us, or, you know, they got more military wits. They had the perfect strategy, you know, they got the better weapons. No, our ruin comes from disobedience, man. Okay, that's what the ruin of Israel comes from, is disobedience. And let's get a couple of precepts, you know, to bag that up. All right, this is Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59:1. It says, behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your power, and your sins have hid his face from you that he will not hear. So there's a privilege of having Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, you know, being close to our power, you know, protection. Because as a husband, what does a husband do? A husband protects and provides, okay? And when you're in good standards with your husband, when your husband is pleased with your action, he goes above and beyond, all right, to protect and to provide. Okay? But when the husband is displeased, especially when we talk about adultery, okay, then what happens, man? Hey, he falls back. And that's what the Heavenly Father did. He fell all the way back because of our disobedience, man. Okay? But now we're being brought back to their favor, man. Now let's get another one. I think this is in Jeremiah, you know. Yep, this is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse um, 23. It said, but this people had a revolting and a rebellious heart, and they are revolted and gone. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, that giveth rain, both the former and latter, in his season. He reserved it unto us on appointed weeks of the harvest. It says, your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. You see? And that's the formula of the rise and fall of Israel, man. It's disobedience, man. You go back to Adam, what happened? Disobedience, man. Okay? Before the flood, disobedience. You see? When we had sovereignty, okay? Disobedience, man, led to us being carried away captive, man. You see? Even the Romans come and taking us over, that's because the leadership of Jake was wicked, man. After the Maccabean period, man, after the Hasmonean dynasty, the leadership of Jacob became very wicked, man. Okay? And that's why the Romans, okay, they was allowed to do what they did, man. Okay? And to the point where the Most High just put us on the whole other side of the earth, man, and scattered us everywhere, you know? But obedience is bringing us back to favor, man, and that's why we see what we're seeing now. The Most High is working a mighty work in the earth that's going to lead to the victory of that obedient generation, man. Okay? They're remnant, they're elect. All right? So, let's see. I'm going to get another account. Second Maccabee, chapter 8. I'm going to read it. Read it through a little bit. This is all right. I'm gonna read it. Read it kind of quick. Go through it. It says this is Second Maccabee chapter 8, verse 1. It says, then Judas Maccabeus and they that were with him went privately into the towns and called their kinfolks together and took unto them all such as continued in the Jews' religion, and assembled about 6,000 men. And they called upon the Lord that he would look upon the people, all right, that was trodden down of all, and also pitied the temple profaned of ungodly men. And it says, and that he would have compassion upon the city, sore disfaced and ready to be made even with the ground, and hear the blood that cried unto him, and remember the wicked slaughter of harmless infants and the blasphemies committed against his name, and that he would show his hatred against the wicked. You know, because you had the Greeks, you know, they was killing infants. You know, they were circumcised. You know, they would just do slaughters on Jake during the Sabbath. You know, the Edomites, man, wicked as hell, man. You know, so our forefathers are praying against the wicked, man. It says, therefore, he came unawares and burnt up towns and cities and go into his hands, all right, the most commodious places, and overcame and put to flight no small number of his enemies. But specifically, he took advantage of the night for such privy attempts, insomuch that the fruit of his holiness was spread let me see what I'm at. Yeah, was spread everywhere, So when Philip saw that his man increased, all right, by little and little, and that the things prospered with him still more and more, he wrote to Ptolemy, the governor of Seleucia and Phoenice, all right, to yield more aid to the king's affairs. So these Edomites are calling in more troops. It says, then forthwith choosing Nicanor, the son of Patroclus, one of his special friends, he sent him with no fewer than 20,000 of all nations under him to root out the whole generation of the Jews, and with him joined also Gorgias, a captain who in matters of war had great experience. So these Edomites, these Greeks, are mounting up. They're booting up. They coming with a large army, and they wanted to uproot. They wanted to uproot every Israelite in the land. you know, there was a heavy conspiracy going, and it says, then forthwith, I'll start in verse 10. It says, so Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captive Jews as should defray the tribute of 2,000 talents, which the king was to pay to the Romans. Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the sea coast, proclaiming a sale of captive Jews. So he's so cocky. He before he even goes, to war, he's already selling off Jake, man. He's already letting these merchants know, look, I'm about to have Jews for sale. Proud as hell. And it says, so Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captive Jews as should defray the trouble of 2,000 talents, which the king was to pay to the Romans. Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the sea coast, proclaiming the sale of captive Jews and promising that they should have 80 bodies for 1 talent, not expecting the vengeance that was to follow upon him from the Almighty. Now, when word was brought unto Judas and of Nicanor's coming, and he had imparted unto those that were with him that the army was at hand, they that were fearful and distressful, all right, the justice of the Most High, fled, okay, and conveyed themselves away. Others sold all that they had left, and withal besought the Lord to deliver them, sold by the wicked Nicanor before they met together. And if not for their own sakes, yet for the covenant he had made with their fathers, and for his holiest and glorious name's sake, by which they were called. So Maccabeus called his men together unto the number of 6,000, and exhorted them not to be stricken with terror of the enemy, not to fear the great multitude of the heathen who were wrongly, all right, who came wrongly against them, but to fight manfully, and to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place, and the cruel handling of the city, whereof they made a mockery, and also the taking away of the government of their forefathers. For they said he trust there in their weapons and boldness, but our confidence is in the Almighty, who at the beat can cast down both them that come against us, and also all the world. So the brother Judas Maccabees, okay, he's like, look, they trust in these large numbers they got, okay, the weaponry, their special troops, cavalry, all these different things, but we trust in Yahweh Shema Shai, the Almighty, okay, which not only can he cast them down at the blink of an eye, but the whole world, the whole earth. You see, he's putting it in perspective, man. He's exhorting, the men of Israel. It says, moreover, he recounted to them what helps their forefathers had found, and how they were delivered when under Sennacherib, which was an Assyrian king, 184,500 perished. One angel killed 185,000 Syrian, soldiers, man. Which is in the book of Isaiah, First Kings, I want to say. And it says, and he told them of the battle that they had in Babylon with the Galatians, how they came but 8,000 in all the business, which with 4,000 Macedonians, and that the Macedonians being perplexed, the 8,000 destroyed and 120,000 because of the help they had from heaven, and so received a great booty, all right, which is a spoil. Then when he had made them bold with these words and ready to die for the law in the country, he divided his army into four parts and joined with himself his own brethren, leaders of each band, to wit Simon and Joseph and Jonathan, giving each one 1,500 men. Also, he appointed Eleazar to read the holy book, and when he had given them this watchword to help, all right, the help of the Most High Himself, leading the first band. Okay, so it was chariots. Okay, you see the Air Force, man. Okay, because Israel had the first Air Force ever, man. Okay, way before the Wright brothers invented the plane, man. Okay, it says, and by the help of the Almighty, they slew above 9,000 of their enemies and wounded and maimed the most part of Nicanor's host, and so put all to flight and took their money that they came to buy them, okay, and pursued them far, but lacking time, they returned. Yeah, because Nicanor had it planned. He had told the pretty much these slave merchants to come with him. Like they were just gonna buy, they were gonna whoop Jake ass and just gonna buy us on the spot. You know? But what happened? Okay? The aid from Yahweh Bashim al Shah came, and now the same money that they brought with them to buy, all right, to buy Jake took that money for spoil, man. You see? That's their favor. That's their favor that it comes from Yahweh Bashim al Shah through his mercy, man. Okay? And for his people, you know, that fight to be obedient, man. You know? And it says, and took their money that they came, this is 2 Maccabees 8:25, and took their money that they came to buy them and pursued them far, but lacking, it says, but lacking time they returned, for it was a day before the Sabbath, and therefore they would no longer pursue them. So when they had gathered their army together and spoiled their enemies, they occupied themselves about the Sabbath, yielding exceeding praise and thanks to the Lord who had preserved them unto that day, which was beginning of mercy, distilling upon them. And after the Sabbath, when they had given part of the spoils to the maimed and to the widows and orphans, the residue they divided among themselves and their servants. While this was done, and that's how Jake was, you know, even because King David had made a decree, you know, that whenever Israel would go to war, they divided the spoils with everybody. You know, everybody, you know, was taken care of off the spoils of war. You know, the whole nation, you know, will benefit off war, man. You know, and it says, when this was done, and they had a common supplication, they besought the merciful Lord to be reconciled with his servants forever. Moreover, those that were with Timotheus, all right, and Bacchides, who fought against them, they slew above 20,000 and very easily got high in strongholds and divided among themselves many spoils more, and made main, all right, and made the main orphans and widows, yeah, and the age also equal in spoils with themselves. And when they had gathered their army together, they laid them up all carefully in covenant places, in convenient places, Salakia, and the remnant of the spoils they brought to Jerusalem. They slew also Phalarches, their wicked person, who was with Timotheus, and had annoyed the Jews many ways. For the more as at such times as they kept the feast for the victory in their country, they burnt Callisthenes that had set fire upon the holy gates, who had fled into a little house, and so he received a reward met for wickedness. So, hey, the Most High just allowing Jake to get all his vengeance back on them wicked heathens, man. You know, who had just did a slaughter. okay, burnt things down. So now the Most High allowed them to burn Greeks alive, man. You know, they got all their vengeance back, man. Okay, and it says, um, this the point, verse 34. It says, as for the most ungracious Nicanor, who had brought 1,000 merchants to buy the Jews, he was through the help of the Lord brought down by them, of whom he had made least account, and putting off his glorious apparel, and discharging his company, he came like a fugitive servant through the midland unto Antioch, having very great dishonor, for that his host was destroyed. So he left. Imagine this: you leave with all this pride. You sending messengers to all these slave merchants, and then he was decked out, in that glorious apparel. Had the silk and the linen, and all these different things. He was decked out, but he said he came back like a fugitive servant, man. Which means he was looking raggedy, man. All them tens of thousands of troops he came with gone, but he came back looking thrown away, okay, bruised. He looking horrible, man. So he comes back before Antioch, and this is what he said, man. He was like, thus, in verse 36, it says, thus he that took upon him to make good to the Romans their tribute by means of captives in Jerusalem, told abroad that the Jews had a power, okay? The Jews had God to fight for them, and therefore they could not be hurt because they followed the laws that he gave them, man. So when he came back, he was like, look, you can't do nothing with them, okay? The power they got fighting for them, as long as they obedient, we cannot do nothing with these people, man. Okay? They're like, look, they following his laws, they untouchable, man. you know? But that comes from what? Obedience. You see? So, I think that might be it. In here on Second Thessalonians. All right, yeah, this is the book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 6. It says, "Sin is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, man. That obey not the gospel. Yahushua is going to be revealed, okay, as that judge and executioner to the disobedient, man. Okay? And we rest in obedience, through faith. We have faith that our obedience and our rehearsing righteous acts through faith, is going to have us exempt from this judgment, man. Okay? And has the Lord have favor on us in these times, man. So that was the point, Lord will, you brothers and you few sisters were edified. Till next time I say Shalom, Kwam Yashala, Abba Babal, DTA soon. Shalom.